Leaving the witch's shop, I stepped into a transformed northern territory. The usually stark winter landscape buzzed with frantic activity. Pack members scurried about like ants, hanging twinkling fairy lights and arranging tables for what promised to be an extravagant celebration. The crisp air carried the scent of fresh pine garlands and warm spices. Careful with those crystal glasses. They're the Alpha King's favorites. A beta supervisor barked orders at younger wolves that I watched as they meticulously arranged everything according to Damien's exacting standards. He always wanted things perfect for me. A newly turned wolf, her sense still sharp with uncertainty, tugged at her companion's sleeve. "What's all this for?" she whispered, eyes wide. "Is the Alpha King taking another mate?" A passing beta whirled around, her lip curling in disgust. "Are you seriously that clueless?" she snapped. "Our Alpha King and Lady Sierra have been mated for 5 years. They're the most devoted pair in all the territories." Another beta joined in, her voice dreamy. "In 15 days it's their anniversary celebration. Alpha Damien's been planning it for weeks. You should see how he looks at her." A third chimed in. "Like she hung the moon itself." I walked past their excited chatter, a weary sigh escaping my lips. If they only knew, the Northern Territory practically worshipped our perfect bond. Everyone knew the story of how fiercely Damien cherished his mate. 2 years ago, when rival wolves attacked me with silver, he'd stormed vampire territory alone. The memory was still vivid, him bursting into our room, clothes torn and bloody, clutching the rare blood magic that saved my life. "I'd give all my power to keep you safe," he'd sworn, feeding me drop after precious drop. But that wasn't even the beginning of his devotion. Before my wolf emerged, I was just a weak omega, practically human. Other packs sneered at my presence. "An Alpha King with a mateless omega? Disgraceful," they'd whisper. Lesser alphas had pressured him daily to reject me. "Choose a proper mate," they urged. "Someone worthy of your status." Damien's response had been legendary. He'd thrown the delegation out bodily, roaring, "I'll wait for Sierra's wolf to awaken. Whether she's human or wolf, my heart belongs to her alone." For 3 long years, he'd stayed true to those words. When other females flaunted themselves, he didn't spare them a glance. Then finally, miraculously, my wolf emerged. Though she was weak, barely able to maintain consciousness, she recognized Damien instantly as our mate. He'd been overjoyed, ordering the grandest mating ceremony ever seen. "Let everyone witness our bond," he declared proudly. The memory of that day still ached. How radiant he'd looked, how genuine his joy had seemed as he marked me as his. Since then, we'd been the envy of the supernatural world. Lone wolves, neighboring alphas, everyone marveled at our supposedly unbreakable bond. Every night, he'd hold me close, whispering promises against my skin. "You're my only mate, Sierra. For this life and every life after." His voice would tremble with emotion, his arms tightening around me like he feared I'd disappear. Although my wolf is always asleep so I can't sense the status of my mate, I never once questioned his devotion. But love, as I've learned, can be terribly fickle. The truth emerged a month ago. A casual comment from a pack member about seeing Damien's car near the territory's edge. An unfamiliar female scent clinging to his clothes. I tracked him to a secluded cabin, my heart already knowing what I'd find. Every time he claimed to be handling urgent pack business, he was there with her. Hours would pass while I waited alone. Week by week, his absences grew longer. The lies more frequent. That I turned away from the chattering betas, their praise of our perfect love like knives in my chest. My feet carried me back to our quarters in the pack house with trembling hands. I pulled out the separation papers. Each signature felt like carving out a piece of my heart. The papers held no real power. An alpha's mate bond couldn't be broken by mere documents. But I needed this closure, this formal ending to our lie. I'd just finished signing when his familiar footsteps approached. Then his arms were around me, his chest warm against my back. "What are you working on, love?" His voice held that same tender note it always had. My hand shook as I covered the papers. Even now his touch sent sparks through me. He noticed my tension, nuzzling my neck in that soothing way that used to make everything better. "Sorry I'm late, sweetheart. Had to deal with some rogue wolves at the southern border." Another casual lie. I'd patrolled that border myself an hour ago. All had been quiet. He pulled out a silver hair clip, his fingertips gentle in my hair. His voice dripped honey. Don't be upset. Let me fix your hair. I sat rigid as he leaned down. That's when it hit me, moonlight flower perfume, unmistakable and foreign. Turning slightly, I saw it. A fresh love bite just below his collar, poorly concealed. Moonlight flower doesn't grow in our frozen territory. He must have bought her flowers in the city, while I sat home waiting. My eyes fixed on that mark, wondering how many others lurked beneath his clothes. The sweet scent of her clung to him. He'd barely bothered to shower after leaving her bed. Pain bloomed behind my eyes, threatening to overwhelm me. The worst part wasn't the physical betrayal. It was doubting every perfect moment we'd shared. Had any of it been real? Or was I just fooling myself all along? Damien continued grooming my hair, completely unaware of my inner turmoil. His touch remained loving, his eyes soft with apparent affection. Your skin glows like moonlight, my love. So beautiful, he murmured, voice thick with seemingly genuine devotion. I forced my lips into a smile, covering his eyes with one hand while folding the separation papers with the other. I have a gift for you, I managed. But promise you won't look at it for 15 days. He caught my hand, pressing a kiss to my palm. His grin was easy, carefree. Anything for you, my heart. I stared into his smiling eyes, memorizing his face one last time. In 15 days, Sierra McKnight would vanish forever. The next day, Damien canceled all pack business, declaring he would take me to the Winter Moon Festival in town. His enthusiasm seemed genuine, almost desperate. The human world burst with color and life compared to our stark territory in the frozen north. Street vendors called out their wares while children darted between stalls trailing sparklers. Despite everything, I couldn't help but feel a flutter of excitement. The festival's energy was infectious. If not for Damien, I would never have chosen to live in such an isolated, desolate place. But now none of that mattered. In 2 weeks I'd be free. Damien kept me pressed close as we walked through the crowded festival, his hand constantly reaching to adjust my moonstone necklace, his mating gift. Each touch felt like a brand on my skin. A young wolf pup with bright eyes bounced up to us, clutching a basket of flowers. Alpha King. She bobbed in an awkward curtsy. Moonlight flowers for your mate? They only bloom during full moons. They mean eternal love. The flowers glowed with a soft silver light, beautiful and rare. I tensed, about to refuse, but Damien was already picking through them with a pleased smile. He examined each bloom carefully, finally announcing, I'll take them all. How could I resist such a perfect symbol? Wait. The word escaped before I could stop it. I forced myself out of my daze, reaching to stop his hand. Damien turned to me, eyes warm with confusion. What's wrong, love? You've always loved moonlight flowers. My voice came out stiff. I don't like them anymore. His face went rigid, pupils contracting as his expression turned unnatural. Something like fear flickered in his eyes. He forced a smile, but his voice was strained. But Sierra, they've been your favorite since we met. Why suddenly? My heart clenched with familiar pain. I remembered how he'd once spent months cultivating an entire garden of moonlight flowers outside our quarters, nurturing them through the harsh winter just to make me smile. Now he picked these same flowers for Emily, secretly delivering them to her cabin in the woods. The question burned in my throat. When you give Emily these flowers, do you remember your promises to me? Do you feel any guilt at all? Before I could speak, a new guard I'd never seen approached Damien from behind. Something about their scent made me freeze. The guard was slight for a male, features delicate despite attempts to appear masculine. But under the artificial musk, I caught a familiar floral scent. Emily. She disguised herself as a male guard, but couldn't mask her true scent from another wolf. Alpha, urgent news from the southern border, she said, deepening her voice. Your immediate attention is required. Damien's power flared briefly before he recognized her. His expression flickered between anger and something else. My breath caught painfully. Of course he knew who she was, even disguised. Her beauty shone through, that ethereal quality that had captivated my mate. Damien shifted, placing himself between us as if to shield her from my view. Sierra, enjoy the festival while I handle this. His guilty eyes couldn't quite meet mine. I lowered my gaze, hands clenched behind my back. Fine. I can manage alone. He reached to brush my cheek, But I turned away. Damien's voice hardened as he addressed Emily's guard disguise. Your carelessness could have consequences. Remember your place. The threat in his tone was clear, but his eyes held something else when they met hers. Emily bowed, a small smile playing at her lips. Of course, Alpha. We should hurry. Her voice had lost its masculine edge, becoming honey-sweet. Damien scowled and roughly grabbed her arm. Enough. You risk too much. His power flared, leaving red marks on her pale skin. But the gesture felt more like a caress than punishment. Emily's face showed a flash of triumph before crumpling into fake submission. She backed away, head bowed. Once she disappeared into the crowd, Damien's expression softened as he looked at me. Sierra, browse the festival. I won't be long. I nodded mechanically, waving him away. He stroked my hair, then ordered 2 betas to stay with me. His eyes turned cold. Watch her carefully. And find that necklace. His passionate command made me laugh bitterly inside. Such a convincing performance. As Damien vanished into the crowd, I silently followed. Leaving the confused betas behind, I tracked them to an abandoned cabin at the festival's edge. Through the window, I watched him pull Emily into his arms. You're too reckless, he growled. You shouldn't appear before Sierra. Emily's tears fell as she beat her small fists against his chest in practiced helplessness. I missed you so desperately. Why are you so cruel? She sniffled. I thought this disguise would work. She shifted forms briefly, her pure white wolf gleaming. See how beautiful I am? Don't you want me? Emily held up her reddened arm where he'd grabbed her. The guard sleeve fell back, revealing lace underneath. Damien's throat worked as his eyes darkened with obvious desire. Want to see what I'm wearing under this disguise? She purred. I picked it just for you. Her boldness grew with each word. He seized her arm, hunger replacing anger. Such a devious little wolf. Emily giggled and pressed closer. Only for you. They stumbled into the cabin, shadows merging on the window glass. I stood frozen as their passionate sounds drifted out. My stomach churned as I watched Damien tenderly kiss the arm he pretended to hurt. My ankle throbbed where I'd twisted it following them, swollen beyond recognition now. Even knowing the potion would soon erase everything, jealousy and betrayal tore through me. Tears slid silently down my cheeks. Their intimate moans grew louder. I covered my ears but couldn't block out the sounds of their pleasure. Each noise pierced my heart like silver daggers. The pain was worse than dying. I forced myself to limp away, each step sending shooting pain through my ankle. My carefully styled hair had fallen loose. My clothes were dirty, my ankle useless. I was a complete wreck. I tried to comfort myself. These would be my last tears for him. When I finally dragged myself back to the pack house, the betas waited with my recovered necklace. The sight sparked memories of Damien asking me to be his mate. His face flushed with nervousness and hope. His cheeks had been crimson but his gaze never wavered, words ringing with sincerity. Sierra, I swear to cherish you in this life and every life after. My heart had skipped at his intensity. He'd kept that promise faithfully at first, taking my every word seriously, protecting me from all threats. He'd even died defending me before his wolf emerged fully. Now the necklace still sparkled, but the man who'd made those vows was gone. I looked down at the moonstone pendant, letting my thumb trace its familiar curves one last time. Goodbye, Alex. I don't want it anymore. I don't want you anymore either. I whispered so softly even a wolf's ears might miss it. Baby, what did you say? Damien's voice startled me. He'd returned from his urgent business, hair slightly disheveled.